Hey guys, Silent Swordsman here. I wanted to start making a walkthrough for Dark Souls. One of the main reasons I wanted to make a YouTube channel was to have this walkthrough. I remember when I started playing Dark Souls for the first time, and I was looking up a lot of different, tips for new players, and this would just be something that new players can come to and kind of learn before they get into it and just get killed a lot. I mean, you're going to die regardless, but at least this way it won't be as painful. So let's jump right into it. If you're playing the edition that was, purchased on Steam, you're using the Windows Live account that you are probably trying to set up. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but once you get it set up, you'll get right into it. I do not advise using a mouse and keyboard for this. Anyone will tell you it's nearly impossible to play it. When they converted this from console, which it was originally made for, they did not in any way, shape, form, or fashion convert it over to mouse and keyboard. So the controls are very strange, and it's just don't do it. Don't do it. Now you're thinking about it, but don't do it. There's a lot of different programs out there that you can just easily insert your PlayStation and or Xbox 360 controller into your computer and use that instead. I'll post the program I use for myself. It's very easy to set up. All you have to do is plug in your controller and hit a button, and boom, it automatically converts it over. So let's get right into it and start making a new character. For this, I decided I wanted to make a pirate themed character just for shits and giggles because I'm bored. Let's name him Pirate Jack. Why? There we go. For your class, it really kind of depends. For this, I recommend looking on the wiki because depending on what class you pick, you'll have different, skills and not skills, but you'll have different powers. Like if you choose pyromancy, then you'll have a spell. Sorcery, same thing. You have a different spell. And you also have different weapons to start out with, as well as different armor. On the left, you can see, and let me just engage my mouse so that you guys can see what I'm pointing at. Right here, you can see where your stats will be, depending on what class you pick. So make sure you're looking at that and trying to decide. It's hard to to pick at the beginning because you don't really know what you're doing, but in the long run, it really kind of defines who you'll be to an extent. For me, I'm just going to go with the Wanderer just because I want that pirate themed. He already has a scimitar and a little shield which I'll use, and I kind of like the armor for him. The gift is something strange. I don't think they really worked that well on this personally. The Master Key is really the only item here that's worth it. The old Witch's Ring is pretty much useless. The only thing it really does is let you communicate with an NPC later in the game. That doesn't really do anything beneficial besides, letting you hear her commentary. This one, I know it says that it recovers HP slowly, but I actually believe it only raises your vitality a little bit. I think that's what it does. The Master Key will let you open most of the locks in the game early on, not all of them. Some doors remain locked, you need special keys, but it's nice to have that. The pendant is a big fat joke in the Dark Souls world. One of the developers said in an interview that it will have a secret purpose, but it really doesn't. And trust me, it's this game's been out for 3 years plus, and people have tried to use this item everywhere and it does nothing, so it was just a big waste of time. The binoculars is something that you can easily get at the beginning, and I'll show you where they're able to get them, and it just lets you be able to look at things from a far angle. The Twin Humanities is I won't really get into huge depth in this just yet. Excuse me, let me take a drink. My mouth's getting dry. But the humanities will give you humanity, obviously, which then you can turn into a human. When you first start the game, you're hollow, and again, I'll get into this later because it's very confusing to explain right now. But the twin humanities is something that you pick up all the time, so this is really not worth getting right here at the beginning because it just, you know, you're just gonna get a million of them later. The black fire bombs are nice. They do a lot of damage, and I think you get like 3 or 5 of them here. You can get them later. You can buy them, but you know, again, not really worth it because you're just gonna use them up immediately. The goddess's blessings are nice because they'll fully restore your HP, and I believe you get 2 of these if you choose this. But again, you can buy this later in the game, and it really is a waste because you'll pretty much use it up immediately. While playing this game, you're gonna die a lot. Anyone will tell you that. It's, you know, it's a sad aspect of the game, but it happens, and it's just because you're meant to learn from your mistakes. So you have to kind of expect to die a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the master key. You can choose all this junk. I, you know, don't particularly care. I'm just gonna go with average. Face, I really don't care. Is there a random? I thought that was a random. There's some really goofy things in here. It looks like a pirate. That's pretty piratey. Yeah, I don't even ask. We're gonna go with that. And black's good. There's a random button here somewhere. I know there is. Random. Let's see if we can get an ugly motherfucker. Are you happy? You're gonna die a lot. You know what? We're gonna go with him because he's just so damn happy. Okey-doke. So that's our character, and once you hit accept, you're gonna go right into the game. Now, before I do that, I'm just gonna say that this is gonna be, you know, a tips and tricks kind of walkthrough, so I'm going to go a little bit slower than I normally would, or you would normally see in another walkthrough, just so, you know, you can kind of get a good look for the game and kind of understand things, and so I don't go too fast and you can read into it if you want. Also, I'll be going through the cutscenes and things like that. I'll let you guys watch that because I know some of you will be interested in that. And I'll try to stay quiet during them just so that you can watch them and enjoy. And let's get right into it. Oh yes it is.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights, and the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone skins. The witches weaved great firestorms. Leto unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
And there you have it. Nope. No little short cutscene.
Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Who dat? No, really, don't throw down a rope, just throw down a body with a key on it. That's helpful. Jerk. Alright, so this is the beginning. You're locked in here forever. No, just kidding. There's a key that opens this door. Alright, so before we walk out there and, you know, brave the undead of the Undead Asylum, as this is where we are, the Undead Asylum, I'm going to go over a few things. First off, you can notice that, you know, after hours of customizing your character, he looks like that. And a lot of people have felt this pain when I first played the game. I literally spent a good 20 to 30 minutes creating my character, making him look badass, and then I got Leatherface. And, you know, it just happens. But there is good news. You will see that gorgeous face that you worked on later in the game. But just to briefly explain this, and I'm just going to say this right now, I'm sorry if I butcher any of the lore in this game and or the facts. You can please correct me in the comments so that, you know, people know the truth. But I'm going to say it as, you know, as best to my knowledge. And again, just to kind of go off on another side note, there's a great channel that I watch that shows off a lot of the lore. It's more speculated lore because a lot of the story in this game is not outlined as well as you think. It's not as black and white. It's a lot of guesswork, which makes it great, honestly, because you put it together yourself. But the guy's name I watch, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, is Veda Vidya, and I'll post his channel just kind of buff him up because he's a great speculator of the lore. He does a great job with his videos. Really beautiful stories that he kind of creates from the lore that you're given in this game. So please watch him and you get a better grasp and a better understanding of this game. Okay, so back to the undead hollow aspect. Right now you are quote-unquote undead. We're just going to say hollow because that's what you are. You're a hollow. If you look at the top right, and again I'm going to engage my mouse so that you can see it, this cursor up here, that's where your humanity will go. Excuse me. I can't get rid of my mouse. There we go. So you gain humanity in a few different ways. You can get it in hard form, which is basically an item that you will, when you use it, you'll gain a counter. The other form will be when you, let's say, when you're randomly killing undead or things that might have humanity, it automatically goes to your counter. So you might look up and you'll see an O1 or an O3, and that basically means that you have humanity. Now, if you go to a bonfire, which we'll look at later, I know you guys aren't going to know what I'm talking about, but later on, when you get to a bonfire, you can reverse your humanity. You have an option for this, which will make you human. This means that you'll gain that gorgeous face that we were talking about earlier, and you gain a few benefits and a few defects. Mostly the defects are that you're now able to be invaded by other players. So other players can invade your world, seek you out, and skullfuck you, because that's what they do. That's what they love to do. The added benefits aren't really much there besides just a better aspect of the game, because being invaded can actually be a lot of fun. It adds a new challenge to the game. It's not just going through fighting NPCs. Now you have to fight NPCs, and you have to fight players that are just sneaking around corners trying to find you and kill you. So let's jump into it, see what we can get done. Again, you don't have the weapons you have. Those will come a little bit later, you'll see. Right now we just have this piece of shit broken hilt sword that does nothing, basically. If you're playing on the PlayStation or 360 controller, I play on the PlayStation controller, but I use the settings for 360 just because most of the games I play will work off 360, but the program I use, it basically works the exact same way. So I'm going to say the buttons as if you're playing on PlayStation, so sorry. The R1 ability is for your right hand, as well as the R2, which will do a different animation for your weapon. The L1 and L2 are for your left hand, which I don't really have anything besides my fist, so I'm just going to punch. That's actually your parry, and I'll explain that later once we get a shield and or a dagger. To jump is a little bit difficult, so when you're actually walking with the joystick, all you have to do is hold down the circle button and you'll run. If you tap that button, you'll jump. So I just jumped. It's a little bit challenging. You have to, it sounds stupid, but it's actually challenging to jump, so practice a little bit before you do it, because you'll try to jump a ledge and you'll fail and you'll get very upset, so just practice a little bit. Hitting the start button will bring up this browser, which these are your settings and your quit. This is your player. This is your equipment, which you have this is your right hand, this is your left hand, and you have 2 slots for each, so you can switch between weapons. And this is your armor. These are the rings. You can have 2 rings on at any time. These are your arrows and your bolts. Bolts are for crossbows, obviously. And these are your usable items, which we will get to later. If you look at the bottom right or the bottom left corner, again, I'm getting engaging my mouse just so I can show you. This is where your usable items will be. Your right hand, your left hand, and this will be where your spells are. You'll get those later. If you hit the triangle button, you'll actually switch between just single-handing something or dual. I'm sorry, you'll actually use two hands with it, which will make it stronger. But you'll now you can't use a shield to block. You actually block with this. When you have a shield later, you can block with your L1. Your square button will be to use an item, and again, we'll get to that later once we actually have items. So let's get into it. When you walk by, these are undead that aren't going to attack you. Later ones will. Yeah, say hi to that guy. He's gonna screw you over later in the game, but not just yet. So these undead are just kind of sad. So you can choose to attack them and or not attack them. He will fight back now. Just gotta punch the shit out of him, and you're dead. When you kill something, you gain its souls. As you can see in the bottom right corner, I gained 20 souls from that. Different creatures will give you different amount of souls. Some will give you 100, some will give you 1,000, some will give you 10,000. 10,000 would be like bosses. So, always keep in mind of that number as you're going through. Backstabbing is something that's different in this game. Well, not different, just it actually creates a different animation. So when you're behind something and you go to attack just with R1, you actually go into a separate animation that does more damage and it also knocks them down. Oop. Sorry, I guess I don't know if I can backstab with this. That or just didn't work. We'll try you'll see backstab later on in the game. There's backstabs and ripostes. Ripostes are very easy. Well, not very easy to do, but once you get it down, it's very easy. Basically what happens is, as your enemy is attacking you, you just use your L2, which will be, a different shield or a dagger, and it'll actually riposte the attack, and then you can R1, and it'll do an animation, which will do a ton of damage. And, again, we'll get into that later, once I actually get a shield and I can do that. Again, you don't really need to attack these guys, I'm just kind of showing you the attack moves. And each weapon has a different attack move, and you have different attacks if you, it's hard to describe without actually showing you, but if you move forward a little bit and hit R1 at the same time, I'll actually, that's a kick. If I do the R2, it's a different animation, a lunge. And, there's different things for everything. So as we climb up here, we'll come to our first bonfire. Bonfires are the key point of this game. So when you get to a bonfire, it's not lit, so you have to light it. And then you sit at the bonfire. When you sit at bonfires, it will automatically reset all the enemies around you. Well, not all of them. Some of them will not respawn, like some knights and things like that. We'll get into that later, obviously. But, if something's attacking you, you can pretty much rest at a bonfire and it'll go away. It'll reset to its back point. But this also means if, you destroy a bunch of enemies and then you go rest at a bonfire, they'll just respawn, so you have to kill them again. It'll also bring your health back up, and it'll give you your full charges of your Estus Flask, which again we'll get into later. Your Estus Flask is basically your main source of healing. Your primary source of healing, rather. So I think that's a good stopping point. I don't want these videos to last too much long. I think 30 minutes is a good cutoff point. You guys can let me know if you don't think it is, or if you'd prefer something else. The next video we'll get into whatever that flapping noise is, bum bum bum, and kind of get into more boss, well not boss, but enemy fights and different things of that nature. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was helpful. And please subscribe and comment my videos and let me know how I'm doing, because again, I'm new at this and I'm just, trying to do a good job and have a little bit of fun. I hope you guys are having fun too. And I will see you next time.